Welcome. Join me this All Hallows Eve as we take a look at some ghoulish new ghost-type Pokémon. Ghost types have always pushed the boundaries of Pokémon with their scarier designs and disturbing dex entries. Tonight, the veil between our world and the dead is thinner than ever. So there is no better time to have a paranormal encounter with the relentless spirits that wander the Fyrún Region and its ancient counterpart, the Spearow region. Happy Halloween! My name is Mykel Bryan, and I'm the creator of Mykelmon_regions on Instagram and Twitter, where I share my Fakemon regions, the Leweka region inspired by Africa, and the Fyrún region inspired by Iceland. I have a stacked video for you today, as I'll not only be introducing a bunch of brand new, spooky, ghost-type Pokemon for the Fyrún region and its ancient counterpart, the Spearow region, but I'll also be introducing a bunch of your fan art for my Fyrún Frights contest I've been hosting all October long on my Instagram account. You guys have submitted some amazing artwork. I can't wait to show it off in the holiday spirit. I love Halloween personally. It's one of my favorite holidays. I was a theater kid, so I've always loved dressing up. I love candy. Who doesn't love candy? I love horror movies and anything spooky. I love hoodie weather and pumpkin spice. In other words, I'm pretty basic. But anyways, it really is just my favorite holiday, so I'm glad to be celebrating with all of you. I hope you've had a great Halloween, and this video makes it even better. If you like the video, though, please make sure to go follow me on my Instagram account, Mykelmon_regions, because there I share a lot more information on all of my Fakemon for both of my regions, their full movesets, their shinies, lots of cool artworks, and plenty more. Anyways, let's dive right into it, and I will see you on the other side. The Fyrún region is inspired by Scandinavia and Norse mythology, with the majority of the region's culture, geography, and wildlife resembling that of Iceland. The region features over 115 brand new Pokemon, as well as new regional forms and evolutions for classic Pokemon, and a brand new battle mechanic known as Forge Forms, offering unique magical weapon variations of several fan-favorite Pokemon, as well as the new native Pokemon of the region. The Fyrún region's hypothetical, and who knows, maybe one day future fan games, would be known as Pokemon Brain and Pokemon Brawn, with its story focusing on duality and division, as you set out on your own Pokemon adventure against your overprotective mother, Professor Aspen's best wishes. As you'd be pitted against your childhood best friend, as you've both been recruited by rival teams, Team Brain and Team Brawn, in the middle of their high-stakes turf war throughout the Fyrún region. As each team is led by one of the Fyrún region's divine Pokemon. Team Brain is led by the trickster Pokemon Ilruz, while Team Brawn is led by the mighty Pokemon Stormer, both trying to reclaim the region as they believe it to be their rightful kingdom. So you and the rest of Team Brain or Team Brawn are merely their pawns, as you'll not only be up against an evil team in this region, but will actually be part of one, working your way up the ranks. I hope you and your starter Pokemon are ready, because the journey through the Fyrún region continues. The Fyrún region is home to many menacing and malevolent ghost-type Pokemon, most of which being found only at the nighttime or in spooky locations. I love ghost types as I'm a big fan of both the supernatural and the horror genre. Creating them for the Fyrún region was especially fun, as I had a lot of scary Scandinavian stories and creatures to draw inspiration from, making my job that much easier, but I wanted to put my own little creative twist on them to make them fit into the Pokemon world more. So I really hope you enjoy what I did with them. You've already seen a couple of ghost types early on in the Fyrún region, such as the final stage for the Fire-type starter Pokemon, Hesseldor, being inspired by the 8-legged horse, Sleipnir, maintaining Sleipnir's phantom-like appearance and even 8 legs, but only when manifesting the 4 spirit orbs circling its body into phantom limbs, as I felt this approach not only wasn't as cluttered, but would be more creative in a true Pokemon fashion. Outside of Hesseldor, you have already met 2 more ghost-type lines as early as Route 1. One of my all-time favorites of the region being Grumper. This grouchy cat is inspired by Icelandic stray cats, sweaters, and the ghoulish Icelandic Christmas folklore creature, the Yule Cat, with its evolution Chilinx maintaining all of this, but it takes it a step forward with its new wispy Phantom Bell, which the Yule Cat is known for. Chilynx also gains the ice typing, as its design takes more inspiration from Norway's lynx. Grumper has a counterpart, Fyrún, based on the Icelandic sheepdog, who starts out as an ice type, but after evolving into Snowwarg, gains the ghost typing, much how Grumper gained the ice typing after it evolved into Chilynx. Snowwarg is inspired by the fearsome wolf from Norse mythology, Fenrir, and its iconic chains now being made of ice. The Grumper line's ghost typing comes from the creepy tale of the Yule Cat, and Snowwarg's ghost typing comes from the monstrous stories of Fenrir and its darker depictions over the centuries. The Grumper line is exclusive to Pokemon Brain as it's a special attacker, while the Fyrún line is exclusive to Pokemon Brawn as a physical attacker. It's also important to note that both Crackhurst and Veshark, both ghost water type Pokemon I introduced in my first Fakemon region, the Leweka region, would not only be found in the Fyrún region, but I'm giving them new dex entries that will question whether or not they are actually native to the Fyrún region. This is because these concepts fit the Fyrún region perfectly, as both sunken ships and krakens are a big part of Scandinavian or Norse mythology. I mean, Vikings were seafaring warriors. The changes to both of these dex entries and reference to the Fyrún region will even be added to my Leweka fan games Pokemon Order and Pokemon Chaos. Stay tuned to get a sneak peek at some exclusive game footage of these free non-profit fan games at the end of this video. Now let's take a look at some of the sinister ghost-type Pokemon you've yet to discover in the Fyrún region, starting with Limboo. Limboo is a ghost ground type, its name being a play on limb, as it's clearly a zombie hand, inspired by those found throughout pop culture. Limbo, as in the plane where spirits are lost and supposed to be in transition, and Boo, as in, well, Boo, ghosts. Limboo appear from out of the ground late at night, usually hunting cemeteries. This line is inspired by more than just monster hands and zombies, however. It actually has some deep Norse inspiration that I'll get more into as we look at its evolution, but being based on whites, I wanted to give it more pale bluish-white skin or flesh. It obviously has those creepy zombie flesh and skeletal aesthetics going on, with its ground typing coming into play with the fact that zombies rise from the ground, and this is even evident in the ring of dirt at the base of its hand, similar to that found at the base of Diglett and newcomer Wiglet. This is just meant to be a straightforward and simplistic spooky design to invoke real horror elements with its ghost typing. Limboo can be found all throughout the Fyrún region in various locations and biomes, but only at the nighttime. So encountering one of these Pokemon at the dead of night would be quite the surprise. However, your best chance of encountering at night would be within the Fyrún region's rocky mountain terrain and grottos. And of course, the Limboo line would be obtainable in Pokemon Legends Realmdale, as it is a Fyrún Pokemon, and the Spearow region is just a past version of the Fyrún region, similar to the Hisui region being just a past version of the Sinnoh region, and having all of the Sinnoh Pokemon available in the game and in the Hisui Pokedex. Limboo evolves into Draugrave. Draugrave wander through the darkness, usually in hordes, looking for souls to feed on. This design is almost meant to appear as if it is the full corpse, having emerged from the ground, as if its pre-evolution Limboo was just the hand reaching the surface. Obviously that's not actually the case, but I like that it appears as if it could be. Draugrave rocks a new, more humanoid design as it fully embraces the zombie concept. It maintains its ghost ground typing, as it still takes a lot of elements from classic horror movie zombies, but now takes even more inspiration from the Norse creature it's inspired by, the Draugr, which its name is obviously a play on with the word grave thrown into the mix to play up both its ghost and ground typing. The Draugr, or wights, are undead from Norse mythology and Scandinavian folklore. The name translates to again walker, and they are actually one of the earliest forms of zombies to be recorded, helping to influence how we portray and view the undead creatures even to this day. Like Limboo, Draugrave can only be found at night. They are often found in hordes as its dex entrance references, and as a reference to the hordes of zombies in most apocalyptic or zombie movies. So be careful, because where there is one Draugrave, there's bound to be 3 to 5 more ready to strike. Draugrave also has a forge form, being a spooky bone scythe of the slasher weapon type, meaning wielding it increases the chances of critical hits landing as it acts as your held item as you literally enter the battle. The The creepy corpse-like elements from its original design translated nicely into this weapon variation, with the bone and skeletal structure being present in the handle and sharp edge of the blade scythe. It's also fitting of the ghoulish ghost-type Pokemon, as scythes are commonly associated with the Grim Reaper of Death and used to claim souls. For those of you unfamiliar with the Forge form mechanic, fear not, you can learn even more about it and see plenty of more epic Forge forms in some of my previous videos, so please make sure to check that out to catch yourself up to speed. Next up, we have Comara, the Dream Eater Pokemon, a Ghost Psychic type. Comara sneak into people's bedrooms while they're sleeping, placing themselves beneath their heads so they can control their dreams. Yes, in case it wasn't clear already, Comara is a dirty old pillow, with its name being a play on coma, as in comatose state, or lost in sleep, and Mara being a terrifying sleep demon from Scandinavian folklore. The Mara are mare, which sit on top of people's chests as they sleep and give them terrible nightmares, feeding off of them. This is partly where the term nightmare comes from, and is also where its psychic typing comes from, as the psychic typing has often been associated with dream-esque Pokemon like the Drowsy and Moonalines, as well as moves like Rest and Dream Eater, plenty of which would be at Comara's disposal, as well as other sleep-inducing or abusing moves like Yawn or Nightmare. Being as I already have plenty of fiendish Fakemon in both of my regions, I felt like making this line look like an actual demon would be a little too on the nose or unnecessary, so I decided to take a more creative Pokemon-esque approach by representing a sleep demon in the form of a cursed pillow that generates bad nightmares. It also helps give it more of this could be my friend vibe that Pokemon are supposed to give off, even with those horrifying big red eyes and smile. I mean literally, I feel as if it's staring straight into my soul. But rest assured, this Pokemon would actually be quite cuddly, and after forming a bond with its trainer, could provide itself useful on a long journey as an actual nightmare-free pillow. Like the Limboo line, Comara can be found only at nighttime all throughout the Fyrún and the Cedar region. But unlike Limboo, Comara can only be found floating around, wandering the region's towns or cities, as it's looking for humans' dreams to corrupt. Comara evolves into some real nightmare fuel in the form of Dreamon, a subtle play on dream and demon. While Dreamon offer the perfect pop-up bed for traveling trainers, it is ill-advised for anyone to sleep on a wild Dreamon, as their worst nightmares will become a reality. It maintains its ghost psychic typing, as its general concept and inspiration from the Mara sleep demon is the same, but its design now cranks up the creepiness factor. It is now made to look like a creepy old worn-out mattress with its headboard making up its limbs, the pillow resembling its pre-evolution Comara making its face, and a jagged mouth and tongue at the base. I definitely wanted to play up the horror elements on this design and push the boundaries, as it's literally supposed to be the stuff of nightmares, but I still added a sense of goofiness to the design to help make it seem like it fits more the cartoon-friendly world of Pokemon, while still pushing those boundaries, as many Ghost-type Pokemon like Trevenant have in the past. This is one of the reasons I've loved Ghost-types so much, as once again they've always tested these boundaries of what a Pokemon should or could look like with some really bold and creepy designs that really push the envelope for Pokemon, not to mention their creepy dex entries. Like at first glance, neither of these Pokemon really look like a Pokemon I'd want to be friends with or encounter in a dark room. But I mean, Pokemon is constantly changing and pushing the envelope every generation with its designs, and not only with ghost types. So I think it's kind of annoying when someone says Pokemon would never do this, as that has often proved to be false, as the series continues to age and evolve, and with it, its art style. However, this is still a fine line to walk, and I definitely get where some people are coming from with this. For this line in particular, it was rather challenging, as its original design felt a little too creepy for me, with sharper edges around the bedboard and posts that I felt just didn't make it seem approachable. So I decided to go back and literally soften its edges. While I personally liked the original design, but I do feel these small changes make it feel much more like an actual Pokemon. And I'm honestly really happy with how this line turned out. It's definitely something I haven't seen done before, and as a Fakemon creator, those are some of the designs I look at fondly from other creators, as well as I'm very proud of when I look back at my own work. I mean, just because Pokemon hasn't done something before, doesn't mean they can't or won't. I mean, isn't the point of making Fakemon or new Pokemon to do something that hasn't already been done before? I mean, I'd much rather that than the alternative, and have the same kind of designs and concepts recycled. Okay, if you've made it this far into the video, I really hope that means you're enjoying it. So please hit that like button if you have. Leave a comment down below. I'd love to see what you think. Hit the notification bell for more content, and please make sure to subscribe to my channel. I've got plenty of more awesome things coming up in this video. Lots of spooky surprises. I can't wait for that. Before we do that, though, I would like to tell a little ghost story in the spirit of Halloween. This is kind of something I don't normally do in my videos, but like I mentioned earlier, I really, really love Halloween and anything spooky. And I live in Maryland in the United States, between like Maryland, West Virginia, like right in that area. It's a very haunted area because there's a lot of battlegrounds, like where there was like the Civil War and stuff. And my dad's house growing up was actually right next to where one of these battlegrounds was, and there was even a graveyard for the soldiers right in his yard. Like going to the mailbox, graveyard, right there. Very spooky. I was about like 7 or 8 when we moved in there, and I got the basement. That was my bedroom. I was in the basement. Very creepy. It was unfinished, big, way too much space, and you could just feel this energy. I actually used to have friends for sleepovers all the way till like college. When I would visit for college, like friends would come over and sleep over. None of them could make it the night. I mean, even when I was in college, I had a friend stay the night. He was so spooked, he literally had to leave, and he was visiting all the way from New York. It was creepy. He went and got a hotel, and that's happened with several of my friends throughout the time I've lived there or visited. Anyways, let me get into why that is. In the basement, when I was about 8, 9, 10 years old, I started hearing this voice of a little girl. Like every night I was at my dad's house. I kind of skipped this part. This little girl would always say, Johnny, Johnny. Like that was the name. So I don't know who Johnny was. Brother, father, I don't know. She was in period clothing the few times I did see her at the end of my bed, which was scary as hell, by the way. And I got so scared, I would hide under the covers and wait for her to go away. I thought maybe I was dreaming and imagining it. Of course, my parents, you know, thought I've always had an active imagination, so they thought I was imagining it or making it up, of course. But it would happen all the time until I was about 11 years old. It stopped happening, but fast forward to I'm in college in New York. I get a phone call from my father, and he says, do you remember the name that the little girl ghost would call you? And I said, yeah, of course, Johnny. Why? And then he goes, well, my friend Chip and his son CJ were visiting from Florida, and CJ stayed in my bedroom in the basement. And he saw the same little girl, and she called the same name. My dad believed me instantly then. He was like, oh my God, like this is real, which was awesome because he knows I wasn't making it up and I wasn't crazy. He still lives in the house. He's actually had a few encounters of his own since then, as have my stepbrothers and my stepmother. I think maybe 5 or 6 encounters. There's a woman like in the closet going down the staircase in a white dress. There's my dad was in the garage and he saw an apparition as he was under the car working on it, and he, you know, obviously never believed in that stuff. I've seen a few ghosts, like there's a horse barn, walk into the horse barn, I would literally have to pass the graveyard. I saw a man under the tree, turned around, he was gone. Next day, went to the graveyard during the day, and there was a tombstone right under that same tree, buried under vines and stuff. We like dug it up to see the name, looked up it on Google, and of course it was a man who looked just like what I saw, same age and everything. I've got a lot more ghost stories, but anyways, you're not here to see my ghost stories. If you don't like this, you can fast forward through it. I don't care. I just thought this was a fun place to share all that. If you want to share your own ghost stories down below, please make sure to do so down in the comment. I would love to see them. Like I said, I love this stuff. Anyways, let's get back to the video. Next up, we have a regional variant, Fyrúnian Spearow, who was briefly teased in my last flying type focused video, and who is a ghost flying type inspired by ravens, crows, and scarecrows, as the two share a strong connection. Its ghost typing is also a slight nod to Odin's 2 ravens, as they resemble crows. Superstition has it spotting a noisy flock of Fyrúnian Spearow in the sky is a bad omen. Its straw-like feathers are meant to give it that scarecrow look, as its head almost looks like that bag that make up the scarecrow's head. It would be found and be obtainable in this eerie farmside town next to the Lowford farmlands, alongside plenty of other creepy Pokemon of supernatural types such as Psychic, Dark, and Ghost, of course. This small farm town, as I discussed in my farm-inspired Pokemon video, is inspired by a real town in Iceland, which has a long-standing history with magic and creepy occurrences immortalized by the Icelandic Museum of Witchcraft and Sorcery. Fyrúnian Spearow still evolves into Fearow. Able to sense and feed off of fear, Fearow is just as capable of provoking it with its eerie presence. Fyrúnian Fearow puts the fear in Fearow, with its pre-evolution same sinister ghost flying typing and scarecrow concept. It now even has some witch or broomstick-like elements thrown into its design as a reference to Iceland's long-standing history with magic and sorcery, as I just mentioned, with the Icelandic Museum of Witchcraft and Sorcery. Broomsticks are also used to fly, which I thought was a fun reference as it's still a flying type. I have always felt Spearow and Fearow have deserved more attention and love as they're rather underrated Pokemon. And originally being a normal type, I feel there was a lot of potential of where I could take it with a new type and concept for these two. Like most Ghost-type Pokemon, it's the dead, glowing red eyes that really help invoke a sense of terror. I also have a couple surprise Pokemon in this video that won't be featured on my Instagram account for quite some time, but being Ghost types, I felt I couldn't exclude from this Halloween video. I mean, why pass up the opportunity? So let me introduce Mysfortun, the treasure Pokemon. Its name is a play on the word misfortune, and the word fortune as in reward or treasure. Mysfortun lurk at the bottom of the sea, scavenging for lost treasure. What appears to be green seaweed is actually its body. Okay, I'm just gonna say it because I'm sure you've probably caught on to it by now, at least I hope you have, but this ghost grass type Pokemon is meant to act as a counterpart to Dhelmise. In fact, it's made up of the same or similar seaweed that controls the anchor or wheel of Dhelmise, but now possesses a sunken treasure chest. Because of this, Mysfortun also has a new ability called Jeweler that mirrors Steelworker, but instead of giving a boost to Steel-type moves, now gives a boost to Rock-type moves, to help boost some of Mysfortun's Rock-type attacks, such as Ancient Power or Power Gem. I decided to make this Pokemon as Fyrún being inspired by Iceland, which has a long-standing history with Viking settlers, as I explored in Pokemon Legends Realmdale, in the form of the ancient Cedar region. Vikings, once again, were seafaring warriors, and raiders who would loot treasure, so I thought having a Pokemon to mirror Dhelmise would be fun, especially as the Fyrún region features a lot of counterpart or tag-centric Pokemon, with duality and division being a big theme found throughout the Fyrún region, as Iceland is known as the land of fire and ice, which right there already establishes two conflicting forces and the duality of each side, which is why this is a theme in the Fyrún region and something I really wanted to represent in my Pokedex and storytelling of the region. Last, but certainly not least, we have another Ghost-type Pokemon I've been teasing over the last several months in my YouTube videos and Instagram stories. It's a new Spiritomb evolution. I know a lot of you have been dying to see it and really excited for it. And while it's not formally being introduced in this video, as I plan to do so with a bunch of other new evolutions for the Fyrún region, I couldn't help but take this chance to kind of give you a sneak peek. So let me introduce Spiritomb's new evolution, Phantomb. A new evolution found only in the Fyrún region via rare item known as the Runestone. I'm sure you true Pokemon fans will realize its name Phantomb is a reference to the original name Spiritomb was almost given. It keeps Spiritomb's Ghost Dark typing and true to its design, but is now even more menacing and powerful after evolving. Like I said, I will go even more into this powerful Pokemon in the future as I explore various other new evolutions found in the Fyrún region, and will even give it a fierce forge form I look forward to sharing with you in the future. So please stay tuned for that. Also, I've already revealed this on several of my Instagram stories, but I know most of you probably haven't or don't see those. So there is a Pokemon inspired by the father of the Norse gods himself, Odin. And this Pokemon is a ghost type. A ghost fairy type, actually. This all-wise and powerful Pokemon is not only a legendary Pokemon, but a divine Pokemon, which is a subclass of legendary Pokemon I created and introduced in my very first region, the Leweka Region. Divine Pokemon are also capable of being Pokemon trainers and having their own Pokemon team, Mewtwo style in the first Pokemon movie. These divine Pokemon are normally more humanoid, resembling some sort of mythological god, but still have animal-like features. Both mascot legendaries and legendary trios for my two regions are classified as divine Pokemon. The rich lore behind these deities and those who worship them will be explored in great detail in my free non-profit fan games Pokemon Order and Pokemon Chaos, as well as Pokemon Brain and Pokemon Brawn if they were to ever actually be made into games, whether real or fan-made. This is a strong thread and connecting factor between both my regions and will be just as important in my third region, so this will not be the last you hear of the divine Pokemon. Not only is the legendary Trio Master inspired by Odin, but it just so happens that the champion of the Fyrún region is as well, being a ghost-type specialist with a very intimidating and powerful team made up of some of the ghost-type Pokemon introduced in this very video. But I do have to save some surprises for later on, so I'll be introducing this legendary Pokemon and the champion later on. Just know both will play vital roles in the story of the Fyrún region, especially as the legendary is responsible for the Forge Form mechanic and its origins, as most Trio Masters have some sort of connection to the region's gimmick. Okay, now let's take a look at your awesome fan art for the Fyrún Frights contest on Instagram. Thank you so much to everyone who participated. I enjoyed seeing your arts and creativity. It's been a blast, and I cannot wait to show these off. I hope everyone else enjoys them as much as I did. Please forgive me if I mispronounce any names. Words are hard for me, okay? My very first submission was from BlueJ1158 on Instagram. It features a new Pokemon from Gen 9 Scarlet and Violet, the punk painter Grafaiai. Grafaiai is trick-or-treating as one of my Fyrún Pokemon, Klaus, based loosely on the Krampus. I personally think this is a great matchup as they both have this dark and deviant nature to them. I also love the Christmas elements in the artwork with the Grafaiai's wall painting. It totally gives off some Nightmare Before Christmas vibes, which I absolutely love. I wasn't expecting it, and I may have to go back and play some Kingdom Hearts and give Halloween Town a visit after this. The next submission I received was of another creator, Fyrún Region's epic vampire bat fakemon, Draculup, dressed up as my own Fyrúnian Zubat for Halloween. Okay, a bat dressed up as another bat is fun, especially as they both already got those Halloween vibes I was looking for in this contest and video. Okay, I say contest, but once again, this is not a contest, I'm sorry. There will be no winners. We're all winners. Anyways, this design is really nice, and it looks like the creator who normally commissions their work, just like I do, actually took the time to draw this themselves, which is very nice. I have also chatted with this creator before, and he's a really nice guy. Great job, I also love the Fakemon, keep up the great work. This artwork, submitted by Spooky Gorgeous, is just so beautiful. And yes, I know I butchered that name, I am so sorry. Like I said, words are hard. First off, I cannot acknowledge how perfect their handle is for Halloween. That can't be a coincidence, right? Even if I can't pronounce it right. Anyways, this art features Glameow from the Sinnoh region, dressed up as my own Fyrúnian Fakemon and ghost type, Grumper. Oh wait, Grumper was in this video, so you already know it's one of my all-time favorites. Glameow has always had this silent confidence to it, so seeing that paired with Grumper's spooky fur pattern just works so well. This turned out wonderfully. Thank you so much for the submission. Anything with Grumper in it is automatically a 10 out of 10 for me. Okay, so the next artwork is by Rowlix_AD, very talented artist on Instagram, and it looks like it's my Grass Bear starter, Barry, with his own Grass Bear starter, Bombear. That is adorable, and the autumn colors could not be more perfect. And it even looks like they're dressed up as each other's final stages. How cool. It's a very nice touch. They look like they'd be best buddies. Rowlix never disappoints. His artwork is phenomenal. And this is just really fun. Thank you so much for your submission. Next up, we have one of my biggest fans and supporters, Obama Snow. This is great. It's actually Tricoon, my own Fyrún Pokemon, like a dark type raccoon, dressed up as another one of my Fyrún Pokemon, so it's a 2-for-1, Savoltaic, an electric type, and it's a Wolverine. So it's kind of like Tricoon is dressed up as like Wolverine, like the superhero or a superhero, which is very fitting for Halloween and just works really well. I like the colors, the designs of the two actually work really well. I love how he says, let's trick them all, because Tricoon is, well, a trickster Pokemon. Very fun concept, great work as always. Thank you so much for your support, Obama Snow. And I should have saw this coming, but Tricoon is getting a lot of attention for Fyrún Frights. It looks like it's featured in another artwork by the Color Shader. It's his own Fakemon, Raboy, dressed up as Tricoon, and it looks like Tricoon is dressed up as Raboy. So another, like, switcheroo, that's really fun. It's very subtle, but I actually really like the background, too. Thank you so much, Color Shader, for participating. Okay, so next up, we have this awesome artwork of Croagunk, dressed up as a Fyrún Pokemon, Vesplug, which is an electric wasp. This whole techno vibe and goggles and wings it's wearing. A really unique combination, actually. I would have never saw this one coming. And it turns out, reading the description, that this is just his favorite Pokemon, Croagunk, mixed with his favorite Fyrún Pokemon, Vesplug. So, that's really cool. And he said in the description as well that it's like a take on that, please take one candy out of the bowl, but of course Croagunk takes the entire bowl. I instantly think of Brock's Croagunk, by the way. Great job. Another amazing submission. This submission features a cute kitty cat Fakemon, B. Witten. Okay, stop right there. That name is absolutely brilliant. Someone please give this man an award. Someone, anyone. Anyways, I'm literally smitten. Sorry, I couldn't stop myself. Anyways, Bewitten the kitten is dressed up as a witchy straw doll inspired mon from the Fyrún region, Fyrúnian Voodoo. Cats and witches have a strong connection, so this just works perfectly, especially for Halloween. I also gotta say, I really love his style with the ink pen, the thicker line art and thinner lines making up the shading. The pose is quite dynamic too. Thank you so much for participating. This next artwork I received is from ScoreGuys13, who is a devout member of my Discord channel. He's always sharing his creativity and fan art there, and any of you who are in my Discord know he has a real love for both Sonic the Hedgehog and Cinderace. It can be quite intense at times, but we love him for it. It looks like he has his ace Pokemon Cinderace, I think a shiny, dressed up as my fire starter Hisselder, who is also in this video, in some kind of like Halloween jersey with its fiery pattern on it. They're both fast fire-type starters, so I could totally dig it. Selder's a ghost type. As always, thank you so much for sharing, Alex. This adorable artwork is by yet another good friend of mine in the community who always submits artwork for my art contests or events. They are actually one of my mods on Discord. What's really cool is the artwork itself isn't their Fakemon or even one of my own, but it appears to be a mutual friend of ours, Apo Fakemon's frog Fakemon resembling Pikachu, dressed up as Siderian Dragonite. I know this is supposed to be Fyrún Pokemon as it's Fyrún Frights, but please remember the Spearow region is a past version of the Fyrún region, so I'll allow it. This was kind of a last minute submission. I was actually getting a little bit worried that they weren't gonna make one, as they usually do, but I am so glad that they did and that I was able to feature it in the video. So last, but certainly not least, is one of my good friends in this community. Such a talented artist. He participates in all of my fan art contests and always blows it out of the water. And I will say his work has gotten better and better each time. Artist Little J. Wow, Jay, you absolutely blew this out of the water. You knew the assignment. First off, it not only features Drekion, a Fyrún Pokemon, but it features Ragnar, the Dragon-type specialist from the Fyrún region as well, dressed up as Dragonair, a Dragon-type. Perfect. They are even holding a Comara trick-or-treat bowl, which was actually a pleasant surprise, as Comara's only been teased in a couple stories, so the fact that he got the design so perfect just off of those teasers is really cool. He's also got Mystek, a Dragon-type Pokemon from the Leweka region, dressed up as my favorite Ghost-type ever I've created, Mummyon, of course. And even little touches in the background that are really cool. I love the little details in this artwork. Not only is it beautiful, but it's those little details that really make it for me. It's cool because it also ties my two regions together. A lot of fun. Thank you so much, as always, Jay. This turned out wonderfully. I have yet another spooky surprise for you. Feast your eyes on this masterpiece. Please note that this artwork is not a submission or part of Fyrún Frights. It was actually a collaboration with a bunch of my creator friends for Halloween. We all picked one of our own spooky Fakemon we felt was fitting of the occasion. All of us commissioned our artworks, so I thought it'd be cool if we all featured a design drawn by a different artist so we could represent as many creators as possible in this piece. The artwork itself, however, was brought to life by the talented artist Brioche Region. All the frightening Fakemon and the creators featured in this artwork are as follows. My submission, of course, being the iconic queen herself, the Ghost-type evolution Mummyon, comforting one of the crying Pokemon Wolfie, as I thought that would be cute. It was really nice to come together as a community with some of my peers to do this collab. And seeing how well this turned out, I really hope we can come together in the future to do even more stuff like this. Thank you again, Spearow Region, and everyone who participated. Hopefully we can get even more of the community involved next time. Happy Halloween from all of us to you. Also, I'd like to give a big shout out to all the artists who made all these amazing artworks for this video. They're all incredible and they deserve your support, so please make sure to go check out my bio below and go follow them as well. They're awesome. Thank you guys so much. I promised to do something else very special in this video, and I hope to deliver, so without further ado, here it is. My first Fakemon region, the Leweka region, is also full of plenty of ghost-type Pokemon. This is not only because I love ghost types, but because the afterlife plays a huge role in the story of the Leweka region and the game's Pokemon Order and Pokemon Chaos, as its ruler, the divine Pokemon Osai River, is a ghost type and the creator of an ancient phenomenon known as Pokemon Rebirth. The Leweka region also has a ghost-type gym leader, the beautiful Amunet, who is an ancient spirit who serves Osai River and was placed in her descendant's body to keep an eye on the cult, Team Pyramid, as they plan to resurrect the two divine Pokemon Osai River sealed away over a millennia ago. In order to overthrow the current champion of the Leweka region, your father, as they believe Pokemon are superior to people. It just so happens that this ancient spirit is your ancestor on your mother's side. And to make matters worse, the body she's claimed as her vessel is that of your mother, which will definitely play a huge role in the conflict of the story as things are put into perspective. Some of the new ghost types include Pikachu, Eevee, and Riolu evolutions, Fearow, Mummyon, and Inubrios. Accessible only through the Leweka region's Sacred Rebirth mechanic, which using two elusive ancient items, either the Soul Ankh or the Soul Stone, can resurrect a fallen Pokemon immediately after fainting, without having to wait a turn like a revive. But upon resurrection, depending on which of these two items was used, that Pokemon is either reincarnated into a brand new temporary form, or a brand new permanent evolution, known as either Rebirth Forms or Rebirth Evolutions, both being a lot stronger. And of course, the instant revive in and of itself is very useful as well. However, after using these two items, they instantly disappear. They are a one-time use item, and they are pretty hard to find throughout the hidden tombs of the Leweka region. So you have to use them sparingly, as this mechanic is supposed to feel a lot more sacred than a lot of the previous mechanics from the past, which are spammed throughout many battles. Only the strongest characters in the Leweka region will use the Rebirth mechanic, such as your rivals, the Elite Four, the Champion, and of course the main antagonist. There's also another mummy-esque mon made of sand in the form of Cryptut and Huntut, Vassal, based on Egyptian canopic jars, with three forms resembling the Leweka region's three divine Pokemon. Of course, there's also Voodal and Voodoom, as well as version exclusives, Veshark and Crackhurst, previously mentioned in this video. And of course, I'm sure you all remember Lewekan Rhyhorn, just featured in this game trailer. Lewekan Rhyhorn is inspired by the threatened African white rhino species, which is nearing extinction, hence the ghost typing, due to the poachers stealing and selling their horns. Because of this, they perish, as it's one of their greatest defenses, and rise again shortly after as ghost types, with a wispy flame flickering where their horns once were. After the release of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, I'll be making some small changes to the Leweka region, and will even be revisiting it, not only here on this YouTube channel finally, and in the near future, but on my Instagram as well, as I'll be posting all of these changes alongside yet another Legends-inspired project, Pokemon Legends Elamage, with brand new Pokemon to be featured for both the modern day and ancient Leweka region. Some slight redesigns and subtle changes, whether to the types or names of some of the Pokemon, starting with Lewekan Rhyhorn, who was previously a Ghost Fire type, but is now being changed to a Ghost Ground type. The reasoning for this being I needed more ground types after cutting a couple due to some Gen 9 overlap, not to mention the original Rhyhorn line was already part ground, and most importantly, it is found in the Wasteland area alongside a bunch of other ground types, and being as its skeletal concept is so important, I felt the ground typing was fitting as most bone-esque moves like Bone Rush, Bone Club, Bonerang, etc. are all ground type moves. Even Cubone and Marowak are pure ground types. We also just got a new ghost type Pokemon who was introduced for Gen 9, who has a lit candle flame burning on top of its head, but is not a fire type. So Lewekan Rhyhorn's flame would be no different than that. Those of you familiar with the Leweka region know Lewekan Rhyhorn evolves into a new mon, Rhyferno, and the fact that it went from a 3-stage line to a 2-stage line really bothered some people, and understandably so, myself included over time if I'm being absolutely honest, which is another reason I decided to make this change. So fear not, Rhyferno is now scrapped. Rest in peace, Fyrúnian, and please welcome Leweka Region. As sad as I am to see Fyrúnian go, I really like this design so much better. And wait, there's more. Leweka Region doesn't evolve into Rhyperior in the Leweka region, but instead is resurrected once more with a vengeance. Once again, thanks to the rebirth mechanic. Meet Leweka Region's new rebirth evolution, the Vengeful Revenant. Its name being a play on the word revenant, as in someone who has returned from the dead. Revenant carries on and combines qualities from both Rhyperior and the scrapped Fyrúnian design to make a monstrous new Mon. In fact, Revenant will be replacing the scrapped ground-type Mon, Mysfortun, as the big boss battle in Pokemon Order and Pokemon Chaos that takes place in the Wasteland area, particularly the Rhyhorn Graveyard you just explored in this game footage. Thanks to the Pokemon Rebirth mechanic, Revenant has even regrown its stolen horn, but now its horn resembles a bone scythe, like the one a Reaper uses to claim souls, which is exactly what this Mon does with its new and improved horn to avenge it and its fallen friends from those who have wronged them and other Pokemon. I really hope you guys like these changes. I have so many more coming in the future for the Leweka region, and I'm really just excited to revisit this region, especially on this platform as I haven't really yet got the chance to do so. So please stay tuned for more.